True or false, opening of ligand-gated potassium channels produces hyperpolarization? True. True or false, opening of ligand-gated potassium channels produces IPSPs? True. True or false, glutamate produces IPSPs? False. True or false, GABA produces IPSPs? True. True or false, GABA stimulates the opening of ligand-gated potassium channels? True. You cannot write it down this fast. I'm just stimulating you so you know what kinds of questions and how to study this stuff. True or false, the middle ear is full of fluid typically? False. It's air. True or false, the tectorial membrane is known as the eardrum? False. Tympanic membrane. You loving this? You loving this? You're going to come back for some fun with the true and false? Oh, there it is, Lisa. True or false, cranial nerve 3 sees? False. Cranial nerve 2. Cranial nerve 2, true or false, if you cut cranial nerve 2, you'll be cutting axons from the retina? True. Okay, and I'll tell that to you when we cover it in class. True or false, the sensory relay station for the brain is the hypothalamus? False. It's the thalamus. True or false, the hypothalamus controls appetitive behaviors like eating, drinking, sex? True. True or false, hypothalamus controls much of the endocrine system, the hormones? True. There are other things the hypothalamus does that I probably don't have any notes, like thermoregulation and things like that. Do I have that in the notes? I might, but I'll go with what I've got in the notes for you. True or false, the precentral gyrus is the primary sensory cortex? False.
Motor.
Primary motor cortex. And the postcentral gyrus is the primary sensory cortex. True or false, an association area detects subtens. An association area has to do with the more complex aspect of whatever that function is, whether it's vision or hearing or what. True, it is. It's more complex. Primary areas are the most basic components. Like just sound detection would be the primary auditory cortex. True or false, the corpus callosum is white matter? True.
Yes.
True or false, it's the largest commissure in the brain?
Yes.
True. True or false, the right hemisphere is categorical? False. Left hemisphere. True or false, you find ligand-gated calcium channels on the axon terminal?
False.
False. Voltage-gated. Thank you. True or false, the second most important neurotransmitter for learning and memory is acetylcholine?
Yes.
True. True or false, without it, you have Parkinson's? Well done, Caroline. False. Without it, you have Alzheimer's. Without acetylcholine, you have Alzheimer's. True or false, dopamine is required for planning movements? True. Without it, you have Parkinson's? True. Dopamine is responsible for all motivation. True or false? True. Acetylcholine stimulation of the amygdala would expect you to be fearful. True or false? Or angry? True. I shouldn't even say stimulation. I should say acetylcholine would expect its effect of acetylcholine on the amygdala would be expected to make you angry or fearful. True. Because you know acetylcholine is stimulating, and you know you stimulate the amygdala, and you've got fear, and you've got anger. That's right. True or false? Do I have the basal ganglia in there? Maybe. True or false, a ganglion is an aggregation of neurons in the central nervous system? False. Peripheral nervous system. Aha! We've been studying. I'm getting a lot of true. Oh, that's right. How about no? This is how I ask questions. Every little word you better pay attention to. It'll suck you in. Good students like yourselves have already started studying. These true false will suck you in like one of those flies attracted, one of those bugs Is a mosquito attracted to one of those bug lights? Oh, I love it. It sounds true to me, because I heard things like, you know, aggregation of neurons and neuronal cell bodies. I heard that. I knew. Well, then I made it false all of a sudden, because it's central nervous system. I attract you and you get zapped. I want you to get A's. I want you to make sure you get these. All right? I want to see A's. All right? And so think them through. True or false, the little children typically get, you know, could have recurrent inner ear infections leading to the need for tubes, ear tubes. I'll say it again. Little kids have can have recurrent inner ear infections that lead to the necessity of tubes. False. Middle ear infections. Oh man! Oh man! And we thought we were friends. You know what I want, man? I want precise thinking. I want precise thinking. True or false, the eustachian tube interconnects the inner ear with the nasopharynx. True. False, middle ear. Don't you love it, baby? Don't you love it? I'm training you now. I am training you now. You are my future A's. And maybe I'll have some, I want to see some. Everybody in this room is capable of an A on my test. And you hear exactly what I'm throwing at you. This is how I throw it. Oh, man. Good. Okay, true or false? You've got the malleus incus and stapes located in the inner ear.
False.
False, thank you, middle ear. True or false? The malleus incus and stapes help amplify sound.
True.
True. There we go. And true or false, because the oval window has 3 times the cross-sectional area of the tympanic membrane, it too helps amplify sound.
It's 3 times
False. It's 3 times less.
Oh, that's
The tympanic membrane has 3 times the area. Man, if you have partial knowledge, you are sucked in like a bug to a bug light. If you didn't have any knowledge at all, see Tom, if you didn't have any knowledge at all, you'd have 50-50 chance. And I don't think you've been getting 50-50 here.
Sorry.
No knowledge at all. The F students, who you are not. The D students, the low C students, who you are not. They will have to do better than one who has partial knowledge. They just flip a coin, they get 50-50. They just like, they have no knowledge. Very little knowledge. You guys who have studied, you're the prime ones that get sucked in by all that. So you need to make that next jump. Typically my true false separate A's from B's. Not that I intend that. Okay, I'm throwing some more out there, throwing some more. True or false, glutamate is the most abundant excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain.
True.
True. True or false, acetylcholine is the most abundant excitatory neurotransmitter in the body.
True.
True. True or false, acetylcholine is the most abundant neurotransmitter in the body. True. See how I set that up with a little delay like that, modified it, sounded false then all of a sudden. Yeah, that's how we do things. Acetylcholine is the most abundant in the body, but it surely isn't in the brain. It's not even 5%, but we're using that number, 5%. True or false, GABA accounts for 35% of all the neurotransmitters in the brain. False, 50. Glutamate, 35%.
Yes.
True. And there are more than 50 neurotransmitters that have been identified. And you know what we did? I'm telling you, if acetylcholine is 5, we're already up to 90. We got GABA for 50, we got glutamate for 35, we got acetylcholine for 5. Dopamine, serotonin, norepi, there are maybe another 5. Shoot, we're up to 95% and 45 neurotransmitters to go. That's right, that's how it works. Opiates are in that. We have brain natural marijuana in us that works kind of like an opiate. It's called anandamide, natural marijuana.
So there is a neurotransmitter for everything.
For what?
So there is a neurotransmitter for kind of everything.
Well, for everything, there is a pattern of chemical synapse firing. a pattern of firing for everything. And the neurotransmitters are involved more or less in all of those patterns.
Is it almost like that associated thing you were talking about? Like there's a basal thing that we feel, and then it could
Yeah.
separate depending on.
That's right. And so, moving on, the teleodendria are connected to, no, I'm not going to say that. Okay, I told you not to worry about teleodendria. Axons branch about 1,000 times on the average. True. You have 1,000 times the number of chemical synapses as you do neurons.
True.
Yes. You have about 100 million neurons in your brain.
Billion.
100 billion. That's right. 100 trillion chemical synapses. True. The postsynaptic membrane can be found on the cell body. True or
True.
false? True. The one we have there is a dendrite or cell body. Chemical synapses, EPSPs are voltage changes that occur across the postsynaptic membrane. True or false?
Also-
True. True. That's the membrane. That's the one. The neurotransmitter is released, binds to a receptor on it, ions flow, gates open, ligand-gated channels open, ions flow, create the voltage right across the postsynaptic membrane. And they do move sideways a little bit to affect their neighbors, or they have to move sideways to affect the axon hillock, don't they? And the initial segment. They have to move that way, don't they? You like this? This is how we do this. And we're going to keep doing it like this. What else? Oligodendrocytes myelinate axons of the peripheral nervous system. True or false? False. Schwann cells do. And oligodendrocytes in the central nervous system. True or false? Microglia regulate the ionic environment. False. Astrocytes do. Microglia actually phagocytize dead tissue and stuff like that, and even bacteria or something. Huh? Glutamate do microglia.
Remember
No.
you were talking about how
It's
they break
astrocytes
down-
that take up glutamate. Astrocytes do. Microglia are really, they're just there to clean up debris and help you fight things that are getting in your brain.
So does the glutamate affect the ionic environment?
Does glutamate affect the ionic environment? It does. It will cause the ionic environment, it'll cause, right there at the chemical synapse, it'll cause calcium to flow in, won't it? It'll cause sodium to flow in, won't it? That's ion, those are ions, right?
Okay.
True or false? Oligodendrocytes form a glial scar.
True.
False. Astrocytes. True or false? Oligodendrocytes have a few branches, whereas Schwann cells do not. Hey, Mia. False. That's right. Hey, Mia, how you doing? That's good. We're just having a little true-false fun time. And we've already gone over all of the guaranteed stuff and mentioned all of that. So we're just having some fun. Now, don't be intimidated by these folks, because these folks have already been walking through fire. Now they're starting to learn to dance on it. And so don't get all scared about that. Okay, so true or false, the membrane potential will be expected to become more negative with an IPSP. True.
True.
True, definitely. True or false, the resting membrane potential is across, no, forget that. True or false, in the action potential, closing of ligand-gated potassium channels occurs slowly in the undershoot. I just threw it all together. I couldn't remember what I was saying before. True or false, closing, no, at the undershoot, voltage gated, did I say ligand gated?
Yeah.
You were totally right, right there. I wasn't trying to say that either. Totally right. True or false, closing of voltage gated potassium channels, no, I'm gonna say it again. True or false, ligand-gated potassium channels are slow to close, and that accounts for the undershoot. Let me say that again, and Lorna, you get to answer it first. True or false? Ligand-gated potassium channels are slow to close, and that accounts for the undershoot. False. Hi, Jerry. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was you. I thought you were one of the students. Okay. I'm leaving. What time is it? 2? Yeah, here we go. Thanks, sir. I couldn't understand why.